so we can quickly go over the new information and what it means. So we got formulas, and apparently they forgot to factor out the base damage passive, so the actual base number is going to be a bit lower than 2620. It's going to be, it's not that much lower, because from what they told me, they tested at like a very small amount of attack. It's 2402. Where'd you get 2402 from? Was there another leaker? From leakers. I see. Okay, it's about 2500, whatever, right? So let's explain how it works. So the way that Lunar Charge calcs the like damage works is a little different from other reactions. Let me take at least one sip of coffee so my explanation is enlightened by the coffee. So the way that the damage reaction works is a little bit different from other reactions. Usually, you don't look at the stats of your aura, all you look at are the stats of your trigger. For Lunar Charged, that's not how that works. It looks at the stats of everyone involved. What it does is it calculates the Lunar Charge damage for each character involved individually, and once it has all of those numbers, it takes the biggest one, it adds half of the next biggest one, and then if there was a third character involved, it adds 1/12 of the third biggest one. Isn't it somewhat similar to Quicken but with everyone? Yeah, it's pretty similar to Quicken with everyone. So basically, if you have character 1, character 2, character 3, the base damage about 2500. Base damage, you got EM, you got crit rate, crit value, crit multiplier, and then damage. I forgot EM multiplier. Oops. Alright, character 1, I mean, Ineffa is actually going to be hitting them all the time, right? So her own EM is going to be relatively low because she does not build EM, but she does give herself EM, right? So let's say about 50 EM from substats plus 6% of her attack, which is going to hover at around 25 to 3k, I guess. About 200 EM. Fair enough. Yeah, multiplier, crit value, you give her deathmatch, substats. So her own number would be about 9600. Character 2, you're gonna have an on-fielder. Your on-fielder is gonna be built for damage, and whether they're better off using EM sense or attack sense is gonna depend. For some of them, it's gonna be better to use EM, and for some, it's gonna be better to use attack or HP or whatever, right? Actually, for most of them, it's gonna be better to use attack, because this reaction sucks, but we're getting to that, don't worry. So, fuck it, let's look at Cyno, why not? Why don't we look at, like, Cyno, Farina, Shilonen, for now. Cyno, Farina, Shilonen. So, Cyno is gonna get 100 extra EM from his passive. He's gonna get the buff from Ineffa as well. Cyno's crit value, you probably give him deathmatch too, I guess. Fuck it. And then Farina's damage contribution would be really low because she doesn't want EM at a baseline, and she doesn't have as much crit value. Also, wait, for Cyno, we probably give him Maréchal C as a set. Yeah, bet. Okay, so these are the damage numbers individually, and the actual Lunar Charge proc will hit the highest of these, which is in this case Cyno, plus half of the second highest, plus 1/12 of the third highest. What that means is if you ended up giving Farina and EM Sands or some shit, it would take your Lunar Charge damage from 19k to 19k. The stats on the third one don't fucking matter, basically. You only need to focus on 2. And honestly, the second one doesn't even matter nearly as much as the first one. This is before Shred. It's actually gonna be about 20, 21, 22k. It hits every 2 seconds. This is not good. This is not good at all. Every 2 seconds. Yeah, I think a lot of people think it hits much faster than it actually does, because keep in mind, Ineffa's Ascension passive makes it so that she does an instance of damage counted as Lunar Charge damage every time her skill hits while you have a Thundercloud. So half of those Lunar Charge numbers that you see on that clip with Hilly Charles are her Ascension 1 passive. So what about damage percent? From what I understand, damage percent does not affect it whatsoever. Okay, all of that being said, right, supposedly the numbers they're getting on the Ascension 1 passive are like significantly bigger than they should be. They're getting numbers that are that look like they're 3 times the scaling if Lunar Charge ignored defense, which is the equivalent of 6 times the numbers. All right, if this is actually true, that means that her Ascension 1 passive is 6 times stronger. It's the equivalent of like 500 motion value every 2 seconds instead of 80, and that would make her pretty good by default. Like, unironically, that would make her a pretty good unit, even if Lunar Charge itself kind of sucks. It isn't going to ignore defense. I mean, what they're saying is that the numbers they're getting are 6 times bigger. And I asked them, and apparently they're getting numbers as if it was a 240% scaling that ignored defense. Like, exactly those numbers is what they're getting. Yeah, and transformative reactions ignore defense, so it makes sense that it would ignore defense. right? But like, if this is true, then that means that like, this is a lunar charge damage you get every 2 seconds from the reaction with characters built for it on your team. Her personal damage just from the Ascension 1 passive would be, and apparently it also doesn't scale with damage percent for some reason, but whatever. Would be base attack, attack percent, flat attack, total attack, crit value, crit multiplier, EM multiplier, effective attack. Effective attack, motion value, damage. Base attack, 330 plus... we look at deathmatch for now, sure. Attack percent, 46.6% times 2 plus 24 plus 20. You can probably get another 20 from one buffer, I guess. And then, yeah, flat attack around 350. All right. Crit value, EM, E attack. But yeah, so it will make it so that her personal damage just from Ascension 1 is hitting harder than your Lunar Charge procs. This is attack crit. What about a EM attack crit? I'm an idiot, chat. I forgot to increase this by 14%. Oopsie. Times 1 plus minimum of 14%. I think you did already. I'll check in a second. Attack divided by 100 times 0.7%. This is EM attack crit. It is slightly higher, but her personal damage will be worse. But the Lunar Charge damage will be better. I don't know what's better, honestly. Whatever. Who cares? But this is every 2 seconds, so it's 15k DPS-ish from this. And the added up one. This one. No, this was res multiplier for the Shilonen. By 114 because it's plus 14, so it's 100 plus 14. I could also have done times 1 plus 14%, but that's the equivalent of, yeah, anyways. Wait, and then her personal damage is gonna be, oh yeah, there's also the 40 from Cinder City, you're right. Let's look at this. 230.4. Why is it in percentage? Yeah. So her off-field skill hits for 8k. No, 8k DPS, 16k. And then her Ascension 1 hits for fucking 30k, 15k DPS. So her personal off-field DPS is a little bit below 30k. Which is actually pretty good, but it's not amazing. But yeah, she might be an upgrade to Nebula, because I don't know though, because she doesn't have a buff to the team, right? But her personal damage is actually pretty good. Who will be the biggest winner of Lunar Charge? No one. Lunar Charged is not very good. Ineffa seems like she's gonna be a good unit because her numbers are good, but Lunar Charge is worse than Electro Charge. Like for context, right? This 25k every 2 seconds. How much EM do you need for Electro Charged every second to be better? So base Electro Charge damage is 2894. What happens with 187 EM? Damage, and then percentage of LC DPS. So 1 EM main stat, 55%. 2, 82%. 3, it's better. Substats, set bonus, much better. The upside for Lunar Charge is you get to build crit, but if you're building EM and crit, your character's base motion value is going to be worse, which means it's only going to be good on characters that already want EM in their kit and crit. Like, we need proper EM scalers. Sino's EM scaling is too bad to be good to like count that much. And I'm guessing that's what we're gonna get for the Lunar Charge carry. It's gonna be a carry whose main scaling stat is EM. You talk about Ineffa? Yeah. Honestly, I feel like there's not that much to say. The character's just bad. But like, not bad, but like bad. The reaction is bad, the character is fine. That's what it looks like so far. Yeah, like, the thing about the Lunar Charge reaction not being that good is like, it's not that good in terms of its upper limit compared to Electro Charge, but it's a lot more like trivial to have your characters built in a way that allows for Lunar Charge damage than to have them built in a way that allows for Electro Charge damage, right? Because it scales with the same stats as some of the rest of your damage, and your trigger is reliably going to be the same character, right? So you can very, very reliably get, like, it'll be easier to have your Lunar Charge do okay damage than to have your Electro Charge do okay damage. But the upper limit for the damage is lower. Also, chat, if I see one more person calling it Lunar Electro Charge, I'm gonna morph. Chat, it's Lunar Charge. Stop calling it Lunar Electro Charge. Any thoughts about Quick Balloon shenanigans? From what I understand, Lunar Charge only does damage to enemies that are affected by Hydro and Electro, which means if you have Dendro on them, you won't get the Lunar Charge damage anymore. So I'm pretty sure that's cooked.
Goose on the loose!
Yeah.
Goose on the loose!
Goose on the loose!